music, stories, and more. You're listening to Artbeat Radio, a program by Able Arts Work.
Would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Benai Boyd. I am an actress, activist, mom, and all-around loving, empathetic person. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Now I have a icebreaker question to ask you.
Sure.
Do you sing karaoke?
Do I sing karaoke? That's a really good question, especially for a singer, because you would think a lot of us singers like to sing karaoke, but me, I do not like to sing karaoke.
Really?
It's very fascinating. I can perform in front of thousands and thousands of people and have no problems. But when you get me in a small room and I can see people's faces, I get really, really nervous. So I'm not a real big karaoke fan, but I love singing altogether. But maybe I would like to go karaokeing with you.
Well,
what do you think?
Yeah,
I think we should all go karaokeing together. I like that idea.
If you did sing karaoke, what karaoke songs do you sing?
That's another great question. I really love show tunes. I really love musical theater. So I would probably sing anything from like Les Miserables, the Broadway show, or even from the show that I did at Disney, anything from Frozen.
Oh, I like Let It Go. I've heard that song.
Heard the Let It Go song? Mm-hmm. Yes, I heard that song multiple times a day.
Let it go, let it go.
Yes, can't hold it back anymore.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. It's a good one. It's a hard one. Huh. It's a hard one to sing.
Okay, what if your educational and musical background?
My educational and musical background. Well, I pretty much started performing and singing at the age of 3. And the theater bug, stage bug kind of bit me. And so I continued that all throughout adolescence, all the way up into college. And I graduated from the American Musical Dramatic Academy in New York City. And that was in 2006. I'm dating myself. And then what I did is I stayed in New York City and I started auditioning for lots of different shows. And I was very lucky and fortunate enough to travel to 32 different countries performing and singing. And I was able to live in Japan and perform at Tokyo Disney. I was able to be on cruise ships and perform stage shows. And then I was extremely honored to create the first adaptation from film to stage of Frozen live at the Hyperion Theater at Disney's California Adventure. And so I created that show and did that show for 5 years. So I've had a pretty extensive career up until about the pandemic, because, that kind of took a toll on all of us.
That ruined everybody's life.
Sure did. It sure did, but we are coming back strong, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, the group home that I live in a group home now, and we recently had flu and COVID shots.
Really?
The COVID boosters.
Well, you got to stay protected. I love that.
I wanted to ask you, before I get to the other questions, did you ever perform around big dignitaries like the Pope?
What a great question. I have never performed for big dignitaries. I performed for celebrities, but I have not performed for any dignitaries.
Do you
yet.
mind if I will? What celebrities?
What celebrity? I mean, when we did Frozen at Disney California Adventure, all kinds of celebrities came. Idina Menzel, Taye Diggs, Tom Hanks.
I heard of Tom Hanks.
You've heard of Tom Hanks?
Forrest Gump.
Yes. Do you like that movie?
Yes.
I really, really like that movie a lot. It's actually one of my favorites. How do you feel about the soundtrack?
I love that soundtrack.
The soundtrack's
In fact,
great.
I have that CD.
You have that CD? How special is that?
Yeah.
You know, and I love that you still have a CD player too and stuff.
Yeah?
That's amazing. I love that. And yes, it is a very good soundtrack.
Yeah, it has 2 CDs.
Yes, it does. But yeah, I mean, some of the time, the celebrities would not allow us to know that they were there. We were just kind of told that there were celebrities in the audience. And then sometimes the celebrities would like to take pictures with us. So those are the ones that I know and I can remember off the top of my head, seeming that we performed 4 times a day, every day for 5 years. I didn't necessarily, but the show ran constantly all the time. So we had every hour and a half, we had about 2,500 people 4 times a day. So that was a lot of people to perform in front of. But yeah, those are the names that kind of stay permanent in my mind.
What got you interested in acting and music?
I think I was born with it. I remember since I was a child just performing for my parents. And me and my sister would put on these shows in my parents' living room, and we would sing. And I just loved everything musical. I loved musical instruments. I loved dancing. I loved singing. So I don't think there was a specific event or kind of situation that brought me to music. I think I was just born with it.
Do you remember how old you were when you started performing?
I do. I was 3. And my first performance, I was a little bumblebee that ran across the stage and just fluttered like...
A bumblebee?
I was a bumblebee. I absolutely was. And I was 3 years old. That's when I started.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience in the movie Frozen?
I can talk a little bit about my experience in Frozen. I was not in the movie, but what they did is they took the movie, and then what we did is we kind of created a stage version. So we were the first stage conception from screen to stage. And I had been a part of it from conception, so right from the beginning. So we started off in a little black room, and we would just sing Frozen songs. And then they were like, okay, is this going to work? And so they brought in a study group, like a focus group of little children. And like I said, we were in a black room with just a piano and like 60 seats. And all of the children sat in the first 3 rows, and then their parents, they couldn't sit with their parents. They had to stay separated from their parents. And me being a mom of a 3-year-old at the time, I was like, this is definitely not going to work. This is definitely not going to work. And so we started the show, and it was just 12 of us with music stands and a piano. And we started this show, and we started singing through it and acting it out. And by the 1 and 5 minute mark, I'm getting chills actually talking about it, not one child had moved from their seat. They were all singing and clapping and dancing and having the greatest time. And I was like, oh my gosh, they have figured out the perfect performance to keep children still. And then after that was done, they asked me to come back and start creating the show at Disneyland. And so we spent almost a year creating this show from scratch and doing the adventures of Frozen. And it's still one of my greatest achievements and highlights of my career, because I got to see all different walks of life, all these different children that we were able to represent on our stage, and it was just so exciting to bring magic every single day.
Are there still children of school age that are captivated, and hold attention of performers like you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. You know, it was a lot of kids, like even my own son. He would come see me every Thursday. He would come to the park every Thursday, and he would stay in his seat the whole time. It was kind of, because the stage, we had a lot of interactive from, like, we were all in the audience and then we would come on stage and we would come out into the audience. It was very fascinating to see, because a lot of the kids would really stay captivated because there was so much going around. There was so much going on. There was snow coming from the ceiling. You know, Elsa's staircase would jut out into the audience. We had so much interaction during the performance that kids were really, like, they didn't even know where to look. So they pretty much stayed in their seats unless it was at the end, and then everybody was dancing in the aisles and just having a really good time.
Pardon me.
Sure.
I asked you that because so many children or so many kids pay attention more to their iPads and their phones than what you mentioned.
Look at how observant you are. Yes, I have an 11-year-old myself that I'm trying to rip the iPad from because it's like you call his name and he's so invested in this, it's like he'll walk into a wall.
Yep.
You know, iPads and electronics, I think, were designed to help us, but I think they're kind of hindering us in a way.
Yeah.
Especially children. And, you know, when we were doing Frozen, it was a problem. Electronics were a problem for kids, but it was before the pandemic. So it wasn't like, you know, because the pandemic kind of forced all the kids onto electronics because of school and all the different ways they had to learn because we were all locked inside. So I think it was less distracting than it is now, because I think everybody's just hooked. I mean, I'll drive down the street and I'll see people, adults, on their phones, and I'm like, wait a minute, you should be driving right now, not looking at your phone.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. So I don't think it's necessarily just kids. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah. Now on to another question. What projects have you worked on?
What projects have I worked on? Are you speaking, would you like to know television? Would you like to know theater? Would you like to know both?
Both.
Both. Okay. So I was on a TV show called Big Little Lies with Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it?
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. Can you believe that? I was in it and I've never seen it. I don't know. I don't like watching myself on television. I was in, do you know the show Rent? The musical theater show Rent? I was in, it's a show it takes place back in the 80s. And it's a really beautiful show about friendships and love and relationships. What other shows have I been? Have you heard of Hairspray?
Yeah?
Yes, I played Motormouth Mabel.
The one with Ricky Lake?
Yes, exactly. And do you Ricky Lake, you know the original one. I love that. Because Ricky Lake, they did the movie and then they made a stage version out of it. And so I played Motormouth Mabel in Hairspray. Oh my gosh, we're going back. Let's see, what else have I done? You know, I played the Queen and Anna and Elsa's mother and Bolda in Frozen. Have you heard of Avenue Q? Avenue Q, it's a show with puppets. And it's really, really funny, but sometimes it can be inappropriate. But it's really funny, and sometimes we just need to laugh. And I played Gary Coleman in Avenue Q. Let's see what else. Jekyll and Hyde. I did that show as well, which was an old book. I can't remember the author at the time. I'll have to get that for you. My goodness. I've done so many things, but I think those are pretty much the standouts. I mean, I've done, you know, national commercial here and there for some fun stuff, but I just like to be organic and do all kinds of different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like to be organic. So unfortunately in our business, they tend to sometimes kind of put you in a box. And I think they do that in society too. And I don't think it's right, because I think everybody should just be able to be who they want to be. And that's what I love about my career, is that I never conformed to that box. I kind of was just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I want to allow and help people to just be who they want to be now. You know what I mean? I want everybody to just embrace who they are and not necessarily fall victim or get caught in those boxes, because I think everybody has beautiful gifts that need to be shown.
What have been your favorite project?
You know, Frozen is pretty high on that list, but I will have to say working at Tokyo Disney, living in Japan and performing jazz music in Japan with Mickey playing the drums every single day is probably my favorite, because Japan is an absolutely amazing country.
Have you ever lived outside of the U.S.?
Yes, I have. I lived in Japan for a year and a half. I lived on a boat in Europe, right off of the coast of Europe, so I would go to all the different countries around Europe. But I think the longest I did was in Japan. I lived there for a year and a half.
What was the best country that you've been in?
What a great question. I love how you're making me think and you know, come up with these great answers to these great questions. Like I said, Japan is really, I mean, I loved living in Japan, but I think my favorite place, wow, I would probably say Morocco. I loved Morocco.
Really?
Yes, I loved Morocco so
Why
much.
Morocco?
Well, I married a Moroccan. So I was already kind of, you know, partial to the Moroccan culture. But the culture, the celebration, the colors, the people, they're so welcoming and loving and warm. And again, I'm not saying that because I'm married to a Moroccan, but it's just, you know, the belly dancing, the celebrating, the spices, you know, the culture. It's and everybody's just so kind and loving and welcoming, and they all want you to come to their house, and they want to feed you and take care of you, and it's a very beautiful culture, and I wish more people were able to go. So yes, I would have to say Morocco.
Well, what is Morocco culture like?
What is Moroccan culture like?
If
Everyone is pretty much family. Whether you are a foreigner, whether you are a friend, whether you are a, you know, stranger, everyone is welcome. Basically, I'll tell a story. So we were in the Medina, which is called the marketplace. It's kind of like a big bazaar. And have you ever seen the movie Aladdin?
Yeah?
Yeah, and you know when Aladdin and Abu, they kind of like steal the apple and they're running through the marketplace?
Yeah?
That is what a Medina is. So basically, every time we would come off the ship to just kind of go shopping in the Medina, every store we went into, they would serve us tea, Moroccan mint tea, and you would sit and they would have cookies and they would just kind of allow you to acclimate and get to know you before you went shopping. And that was every single place we went. So you are very welcomed. And they want to make sure that you are taken care of. They want to make sure that you are loved. Moroccan culture also, I love the aspect of the mother being kind of like the leader and the head of the family. So the mothers very much get all of the respect, and all of the children, including the grandchildren, is just, they are very, very respectful and loving of the mothers, which I do appreciate, because even though my husband is of the ripe old age of 51, his mommy is still his mommy, and every time his mommy calls, everything drops and it's all mommy. So I love how family-oriented the culture is, and I love how everybody gets around the table and sits on the floor and eats their food with their hands. I love that. It's very much inclusive kind of culture where everyone is accepted.
What if next for you?
What is next for me? What is another? I mean, these are all really great questions. I love them. Thank you. You are amazing at this. This is a perfect job. I mean, you are really good. You're a natural. What is next for me? Well, I am now on the board of trustees for Able Arts Work. I'm very happy and very excited to be a part of this organization and bring awareness and show how fantastic and amazing all of you are. I have also started a podcast of my own with my dear friend Jennifer Kumiyama, where we are, it's called CastABLE, the CastABLE podcast, where we tried to focus on what we can do to abolish ableism in the entertainment industry. I just finished doing a TV show that should be airing in a couple of weeks that I can't talk about until it airs. And just being the best mom to my 2 kids and the best wife to my husband that I can be, and help bring inclusivity and love and acceptance to all. That's what's next for me.
Is there anything that you wish people knew about you in the industry?
Wow. You've just floored me with that question. Okay, well, you know, the interesting thing is, so for the first 43 years of my life, I was an able-bodied actress. And I would perform, and like I said, I've been to 38 different countries and traveled all over the world. And then I kind of got injured while I worked at Frozen.
Oh, how did you get injured?
Well, Bolda, the troll puppet that we were in, I walked on my knees in a 30-pound puppet for 4 years. So it kind of did a doozy on my back.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So basically now for the last 2 years, or 3 years actually, I am disabled. I have become disabled. And so basically what I want people to know about me and my acting career is that it doesn't matter what is going on in a person's life, they can still do what they were put on this earth to do.
How's your back now? How is your back now?
My back is in pain a lot sometimes. But, you know, I'm doing everything humanly possible to keep it under control and just kind of embrace my new life. You know what I mean? And all these amazing people that I've met, and learning about Able Arts Work, and being able to partner here and see all of your beautiful faces. I mean, the disabled community is pretty awesome, and I'm pretty honored to be a part of it. And I want everybody to know about it. So if I have to take my career and, allow people to see how amazing you all are, I'm going to do it.
Well, back, I asked you about your back because in the early 70s, no, in the December 71, my dad, my dad was a proper survivor, and I got said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only one time when I had to stay at home with Mom rather than join Dad at the banquet and the convention.
Really?
Because my mom had back surgery.
Did she have back surgery?
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay away from back surgery because I know they tell you kind of like if you're going to go in, only go in once if it's an emergency. So I'm trying to do everything as conventional as possible so that if the back surgery does have to come, it'll come a little later.
Well, I had unfortunately, I only had to have hip surgery.
Did you have hip surgery?
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
Good.
Yes.
I have a metal hip now.
You have a metal hip now.
Before, I had just a plastic hip.
Did you have okay, so before you had a plastic hip, but now you're bionic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Being interviewed by a bionic COVID man.
A bionic COVID man?
Yeah, because I was COVID man in the podcast.
You were a COVID
Maybe
man?
4 or 3 years ago.
Really? You were COVID man in a
Yeah.
podcast? I would love to see that. But now I think you're a bionic superhero. I like that.
Maybe I should have asked you another icebreaker question.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie.
Or television series?
Or television series? You know what? My favorite movie that I think I will stick to because it's tried. Well, okay, I got 2. Is that okay? Can I do my favorite movies? Okay, great. Do you remember the movie The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
That is my all-time favorite movie. And I think a close second would be The Goonies.
Oh, yeah, the Goonies are good enough.
Yes, they are. They are. Those are my 2 favorite movies, but I think Princess Bride is, way at the top. Absolutely. I could watch that movie over and over and over again. And growing up, I totally wanted to be Princess Buttercup because I thought, Princess Wesley was just so dreamy.
Oh, remember the old series WKRP?
In Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I sure do.
Well, that was from my inspiration for being on the radio.
I love that. I love that. And look at you now.
Yeah.
Never too late, right?
Never too late.
Never too late. And now you have your own station. Look at you. You're making your dreams come true. You should be very, very proud of yourself.
I want to thank you for coming in, and this is the end of this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
You're
a true
welcome.
honor. I had such a great time. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your special gift with me. I truly appreciate you.
I hope you enjoyed this installment of Artbeat Radio. For more information, please go to our website, ableartwork.org. Thank you for listening and tune in next time.